Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to Copper Jacket TV. So I'm sure by now everybody's heard about the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals decision on carry in the state of California, more specifically the sensitive location aspect of SB2. Now this was a 3-judge panel. It was a somewhat split decision. It was mostly bad, but it did have some good parts that came out of it as well. Well, there's been a lot of talk about that, but not too much talk about exactly what this means for people in California moving forward. Where can you carry? Where can't you carry under this 3-judge panel decision? And what's going to happen from here? So let's talk about it. This video is proud to be sponsored by American Hartford Gold. Listen, if there is one thing that those of us in the firearms community understand, it's that you cannot rely on the government for your protection. Not with your life, and especially not with your wealth. Look, throughout our lifetime, the dominance of the US dollar was unquestioned, but that may be changing. As we face unprecedented inflation, the world's biggest economies are ditching the dollar for the yen. Banks are failing left and right, and the government is discussing a total control of all of your money with the new digital dollar. Don't let your life savings become a casualty of failing corporations or currency wars. Now is the time to call the only precious metal dealer that I trust, American Hartford Gold. They'll show you how to protect your savings and retirement accounts by diversifying your wealth portfolio with physical gold and silver. With the finest products, amazing customer service, and a buyback commitment. American Hartford Gold has a 5-star rating from thousands of reviews and an A+ from the Better Business Bureau. American Hartford Gold supports content like this that is committed to bringing you the truth. Tell them I sent you and they'll give you up to $5,000 of free silver on your first order, so call them now. Click the link in the description or call 866-856-2507. That's 866-856-2507 or text COPPER to 65532. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what's going on here. So like I said in the beginning, this was a 3-judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and it was a somewhat split decision. We got some stuff out of it, they got some stuff out of it. It was not ideal. Ideally, we would win this outright and completely because what California is doing is unconstitutional. But one thing I want to point out real quick is this was probably the best 3-judge panel that California, if they had a chance to pick, could have picked. I mean, we're talking about 3 judges that would typically instantly side with California, so I'm actually kind of surprised that we got anything out of this at all. But I think the fight for this one is still going to continue. Now, this was 3 different cases that were sort of combined because they all dealt with the same thing. So we have, Carolero v. Bonta, we have May v. Bonta. All of these cases were somewhat consolidated to be heard in front of that 3-judge panel. So let's just first off talk about what exactly the decision was. I mean, where did they say was okay to be considered a sensitive place and what was not considered a sensitive place under SB2's provision? So let's just dive right into that. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what the Ninth Circuit said could be considered quote-unquote sensitive locations and would be allowed to move forward under SB2. There's actually quite a few. This is not good at all. But when it comes to, these so-called sensitive places, we have things like bars and restaurants that serve alcohol, casinos, stadiums, parks and playgrounds, amusement parks. We have zoos, libraries, museums, athletic facilities, and the parking areas that are around those locations. So all of those places would be considered off limits through the sensitive locations that were approved by the Ninth Circuit. Now, I just got to interject real quick. This is all stupid. None of this stuff existed before the Bruin decision, and there were no problems. As you know, people who have CCWs are some of the most law-abiding people in the entire country. So it's not like there was this big issue that they had to address. This was just California's slap on the wrist to those people who supported the Bruin decision. Now, as you can see here, the list of places where you can carry is a lot shorter and a lot less comprehensive than the list of places that are now so-called sensitive locations. But as you can see, we have hospitals, medical facilities, public transit, because obviously you wouldn't be able to go anywhere if you couldn't use public transit. So anybody who didn't own their own vehicle and needed public transit, they would be out of one of their constitutional rights. Places of worship, financial institution, or in the parking areas around those types of places. So that's pretty much it. Even though it was kind of a split decision, these are the only places that are not going to be enforceable under SB2. Now, to you and I, it's very obvious that this is still very unconstitutional. Even though they gave a little bit, it's not enough. The places that are considered sensitive now are a huge swath of the state of California. I mean, there are so many of these places that are now sensitive locations that, again, it makes your daily life, your regular business about going life, difficult to do if you have a permit, if you've gone through the rigorous California process, the money that you have to spend. I've seen people spend well over $1,000. There are people that have waited well over a year in order to get it back. The background checks, the training, the time, just all of the expensive, everything that you have to do in order to get that permit. And then once you get it, you still can't barely use it anywhere. And so that is an absolute problem. Now, it is possible that this gets appealed, it goes en banc. If it goes en banc, that means that a large majority of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals would rehear this. And then again, obviously, you have the other step, which is to eventually take this all the way up to the Supreme Court. And I don't know if that's going to be the case or not, or exactly who's going to appeal it or for what. We have both sides who are sort of claiming victory here. Obviously, if you ask me, in my opinion, California got like 70% of the win, and we got to pick up the little pieces that were left over, and that was pretty much it. So I hope it goes to a full judge panel of the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, and we get to kind of rehash this thing all over again, because again, there's so many places that are now sensitive, it's clearly unconstitutional. I think they all are constitutional, but again, we have to show that in court in order to get them to stop enforcing it. That's kind of the main thing here. So again, I wanted to give you guys that list, let you know what's going on, and if there's any updates on this, like we do get that appeal, or the appeal's accepted, they decide to hear it en banc or anything like that, I will let you guys know, because there's a lot of people in California that were really excited when the Bruin decision came down, and good moral character or good cause, just cause, all that stuff was kind of thrown out the window, and they thought, hey, I'm going to be able to have one of my rights back. That's going to be great. And then for this to happen, it just kind of slams the door on you. So again, I wanted to let you know about that, and I want to thank you all very much for watching. If you haven't done so yet, consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, but it helps us out quite a bit, and it really helps us spread our message. So thank you to everybody who's subscribed and anybody who subscribes in the future. You guys have a great day.